Mega.
Yes, Gunner.
So, tell me, do you believe in eternal recurrence?
Only if I've lost my club card.
Yeah, well, for those of you at home who don't know what I'm talking about, it's the theory that you're born again and die again, and your soul is reincarnated and whatnot and that kind of thing. And it's like, so you're telling me basically that an option on Raw was to have John Cena go against Randy Orton one more time? For no other reason other than they lost a match. And the quote losers bracket of this particular match was facing Randy Orton in Hell in a Cell. I think the loser bracket in that particular match would contain all of us, because Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell match will be boring. Especially with John Cena. Not this shit again. Let's start the show.
Well, I was going
Dead air. Dead air. What do we do? What do we do?
How about we sing songs, or we could...
No. If you start singing, I swear to God, I will burn the world to the ground. I have a better idea. Obviously, something has gone terribly wrong with both Gunner and Omega BR. So let's just do the news.
Oh, hey, come on! Quick introductions. You know who you are. I know who I am.
Well, pardon me for panicking.
Don't panic. Anyway, you're the senior staff member here, so quickly introduce yourself.
I, of course, am the wonderful sound producer, Isaac Yankum. Before the music, you heard, of course, Gunner, our venerable host, and we have with us also our endeared leader. What?
I was getting food. Hold on a second.
Well, that's horrible timing.
Is it?
About it.
Do the news, Jacob.
Well, allow me to finish introducing people first, if I may. Of course, with us we have our esteemed leader, Omega BR, and also Matt Jester is here for some reason. So let's get into the news, since Gunner's eating. So The Rock vs. Triple H was teased at SmackDown's 15th anniversary, but Rock is lined up for several films, and injuries in his matches with Cena, including a surgery that held up production of Hercules, may cause studios to prevent it. If Undertaker could not face Sting at WrestleMania, Triple H would face him instead. Hulk Hogan is pushing for a match with John Cena, should he pass a physical. Cena versus Rusev has been discussed, with Rusev costing Cena another rematch with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, and despite his injury, Roman Reigns is still penciled in to face Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Bad news everywhere.
I seriously don't know what's going on here. I hate that The Undertaker couldn't face Sting at WrestleMania, but, just giving Sting to Triple H. I mean, they can't think of anything better than that.
Well, the idea I thought that was being teased was that Bray Wyatt was going to feud with Sting for a little bit there.
And that would be a great idea.
But of course, they would go and fuck that up. But okay, so what you're telling me is that The Rock and Triple H is going to happen at WrestleMania 31. All right, that's fine. That's a perfect match for the both of them because one, it eliminates both of them from ruining matches later on. Two, it's a match that people haven't seen in a long time. It would be okay, considering. And three, they're not facing someone else and taking anything, taking time away from other people to build other feuds just to, cement their legacy or some shit. That's fine. A Cena versus Rusev match would be perfect. I think that would be an amazing time for Rusev to win. Could you imagine if Cena lost at WrestleMania to Rusev? How fucking balls to the wall over he would be at that point?
I don't think Vince would go for that. I think Cena would probably go for that. And I think if it did happen, it would put Rusev so over that he would be just completely out of the solar system, and probably over by Alpha City Prime.
You want this fearless leader?
Now you know what would happen if Yankum and Manchester hosted the show, so count your blessings, especially those for Maple Leaf Thanksgiving. But,
what?
Yeah, I agree. I think The Rock versus Triple H would be a fun match, just because it is kind of a throwback to that era, rather than doing this old new versus old that they always like to do, which isn't a bad thing in and of itself. It's just, if you want to, God knows Triple H is going to have a match on the card, and, they're really set whenever they can get him to have Rock back now, so,
It would be fun on the Royal Rumble to see a Rock Rusev match, and then have that, lead to something with Cena along the line.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have to take issue with the period at the end of this sentence or paragraph or whichever. Does anybody think Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar is a good idea?
Yes.
Yep. It's the best of what they got right now. That's the best of what they got right now. Daniel Bryan is probably going to have Tommy John surgery, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Phil's not coming back. So you got to go with the next best thing.
You know what I really want is I want Ambrose versus crazy 60s TV show Joker Sting.
Yes.
I want Ambrose against Andy Kaufman. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would. I bet Kaufman would probably be okay with getting dug out of the ground and pissing all those people off just to do it. Sure to desecrate my body, I just want to see the look on everybody's face.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all know what happened last year around this time when they had everything quote-unquote locked in. So,
right. They can even lock in an episode of Raw until 5 minutes into it, so I'm not.
That's true.
I think this will change 6 times before we talk about WrestleMania.
This will change 3 times before next week.
Well, speaking of changes before next week, it appears that the negative stigma given to TNA from not just Spike dropping them, but dropping them while they were drawing over 1 million viewers a week is making it harder for them to negotiate with other networks. Although, it's possible we might hear a big announcement from them sometime this week, as talents have been told to anticipate something as if they haven't been told that before. Figure 4 Weekly Online reports that TNA made a play for CM Punk as they did for Alberto Del Rio, even offering him Hogan-level money to be their top star, but Punk showed no interest in returning to wrestling, although TNA denies that this happened. Dixie Carter, who did not travel to Japan for Bound for Glory, joked about the typhoon that was headed there by putting James Storm's head on a radar image of the storm, although she later apologized for this, but accidentally tagged an imposter Storm account in doing so. Mike Tenay actually mentioned Sakamoto was a former WWE star on commentary, and Team 3D destroyed a Bullet Club shirt and cut a promo against them following their match, suggesting they want to return to New Japan to chase the IWGP Tag Team titles, although those promos were cut from the pay-per-view broadcast.
I want to see them. I want to see them, and I want to see that match.
Who wouldn't?
The Bullet Club, Carl Anderson, and what's his face? Gallows. Carl Anderson, Gallows against Team 3D. Oh yeah, baby.
Why is TNA still courting former WWE stars? I mean, don't they still have Chuck Harvey?
Name recognition. I mean, you hear, if CM Punk's your favorite wrestler, no matter where he goes, you're going to want to see CM Punk. It doesn't matter what brand he's on.
Nope. Even if he's on even if it was Punk, who I absolutely adore, I would not watch TNA. Let me put it to you this way. I didn't even watch TNA when Mick Foley was on there, and all of you know how much I love Mick Foley.
Well, my thing is, they maybe shouldn't necessarily be chasing guys like, let's see, now I'm drawing a blank. I'll put it this way. They shouldn't be chasing guys who, didn't make it past SmackDown or NXT or whatever. But CM Punk, I think it was even Meltzer who said, even though TNA denies that they did this, it's like Meltzer was saying something to the effect of, you've got CM Punk, arguably top 3 biggest names in wrestling worldwide, and you're not going to go after him. You're going to go after Del Rio, but you're not going to go after him, So I'm sure that they did. And it would have been great. It was a great idea to do so, too, because, just imagine if Punk were to debut for TNA in the situation they're in. That would be such a huge shot in the arm. It wouldn't be like bringing them back to life, it wouldn't be like curing cancer, but it would be like bringing them back to life from near death. You know what I mean?
If TNA
but that tumor.
Hold on, now think about this. TNA at its peak when it was really good, 2005, 2006, 2007. Imagine if Punk was over as he is now then. He still wouldn't go over there because there's still rink-a-dink. And what I've been saying for years, just a fucking indie company with a fucking national television deal, and now they're losing their national television deal. Oh, God forbid.
Well, it may have brought them back to life from dying of cancer, but they'd still have that giant fucking tumor, and that tumor is the way that TNA is ran and the way it treats their wrestlers, especially if they're offering, Hogan money to somebody from outside when guys that have been there the whole time are getting cut, and Jesus Christ, AJ Styles, why the fuck would they even consider offering? I can't wrap my head around the way they treat their wrestlers. That they would want to bring somebody in for all this money and then treat their homegrown talent like shit, and it's just it makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it does in a way, because, I mean, put it this way. If you had $100,000 and you could either renew AJ Styles' contract or bring in CM Punk, the better business decision, frankly, as unfortunate, it sounds bad, but the better decision is to bring in Punk because he's a much bigger star. He's that shot in the arm. And you're right. I mean, they do treat their own guys not very well, but that's showbiz.
Well, I mean, it's a matter of where do they get this money to even do that when they can't even pay the people they have a decent wage and they have to work at fucking Sunglass Hut to be able to buy dinner.
That's a fair point. I think what that comes down to is they have a certain amount that they have allocated. Well, when you're negotiating, the wrestler thinks he's worth one thing and the company thinks he's worth another, and that's just the company's opinion, I guess. They, it's kind of like you won't pay to repair your old car, but you'll pay more to just buy a new one. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway.
And the funny part about TNA is that they're the 17-year-old who has daddy buy them cars every, 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is, so that when they wreck them eventually and destroy them and, do something really stupid to them, they just, toss them to the side because they're not useful anymore. And they wonder why they go through so many. Anyways, moving on. Daniel Bryan, like I said earlier, may need surgery after all. As the Melts report said, his arm still hasn't regained much strength. He will likely not be back before the Royal Rumble, but might return for WrestleMania. Apparently, he wanted surgery right away to get back ASAP, but the doctors informed him it might not be necessary. Perfectly logical. A Tommy John surgery would set him back another possible 6 to 12 months, and he's not cleared to wrestle as long as he's injured. And it also seems that Kurt Angle actually was offered a deal by WWE, according to PWI Insider. Though a long-term one, speculation that being the company knew Angle wouldn't or couldn't take it. If TNA offers Angle a part-time deal, he may stick with them while building his resume for Hollywood. Kurt, come home.
It's PW Insider, not PWI Insider.
PW Insider, that's what I meant.
See, the thing of it is, it's not a matter of Angle not wanting to go to WWE, it's a matter of WWE not wanting Angle.
Well, I don't think it's WWE doesn't want Angle. I think it's probably like Vince and a few guys at the top don't want Angle.
It's probably, and it's only gotten worse over the years, nothing's really changed on that front. The reason he kind of left WWE in the first place was all of his medical this and that, and they claim that, or the rumor is or whatever, that Angle wanted to work through it and they didn't want him to, and Angle claims that he wanted to rest and they didn't want him to, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd be happy with just like a Legends deal. Jesus, let him come home and fucking get inducted into the Hall of Fame and, show up on Raw every now and again.
Well, see, that would be fine, but again, I think Angle wants to... It's not that he wants to wrestle full-time, but at the same time, he does want to wrestle. And I don't think they want him to at all. So...
They want him to either wrestle completely or they don't want him to wrestle at all. They don't want to do any of this middle-of-the-road bullshit because they're doing it with Brock right now, and look how well that's working. Brock isn't booked for any other dates until the Royal Rumble. And so we're not going to see the WWE champion until then, and we're supposed to expect Kurt, out of all people, to be able to, keep a feud going or something like that? Or do the things that Jericho and RVD's been doing? See,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think Kurt could do what Jericho does, and just show up, put somebody over, and then go home. And I don't know. I'm sure Kurt doesn't have a band, but I don't know. He can make model airplanes or something.
He wants to act. That's what the
well, there you go.
Reporters say.
Well, there you go. He could come in, put somebody over. Jack Swagger. Sorry, I had something in my throat there. He could come in, put somebody over, and then go and do a movie for a little while, and then, whenever the movie's done shooting, you'd come back and put somebody else over, and, rinse and repeat.
In other words, he's the new Chris Jericho.
Well, again, I think they just really don't actually want him back, and they're kind of doing this double talk, kind of wording around to try and avoid it. But on the subject of Daniel Bryan, that's unfortunate. But
what is Tommy John surgery?
What happens is that your elbow essentially blows out. A lot of the people in baseball actually get this because they are throwing curveballs and sliders when they're too young. What happens is that you blow out your elbow essentially doing that as you're growing up because your tendons aren't exactly developed yet. So you're not supposed to throw those kinds of pitches, and you're not supposed to do that kind of work with your arm at a young age. And then, so what happens in Tommy John surgery is that we'll take one of the tendons in another part of your body and replace it with the one that's in your elbow, essentially, which is where Daniel Bryan is having the problems. They'll take it from like the back, they'll take it from your leg or something, or some other place. I forgot what, but it puts you on the shelf for a long, long time. But once you're done, you're good. I mean, it's like having a new tendon in there.
Okay.
Well, I think they can take them out of cadavers as well.
Ew. Great, that's all we need. Night of the Living Brian.
I'm probably going to get some...
he could call himself Phantom.
I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but I'm not, wholly upset with Brian being gone a little bit longer, as long as he's going to come back.
As long as he comes back healthy, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Right, and here's the thing, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And when he does come back, if they can keep it a secret, they're probably not going to be able to keep it a secret, but if they do their best to keep a lid on it, when he does come back, if he shows up just like randomly during Raw or during a pay-per-view, the fucking roof is going to blow off the place.
Yeah, keep an eye out for the next words and a mystery partner.
Or maybe Rumble next year.
Well, hopefully it won't be that long, but I agree, as long as he comes back at 100% or at least, close to it. So, speaking of long waits, it seems that PW Insider is reporting that resources did confirm that SmackDown will, in fact, move to another night in January, but they are actually holding off until the Thursday night NFL games are over, so rumored to be Thursdays, of course. The WWE Network is now showing 30-second ads between shows and before on-demand content on occasion. Like every third video, something like that. A promo video for the 2015 Royal Rumble, which we were just talking about, which will be taking place in Philadelphia, claims there will be a 40-man Rumble match, like the one in 2011. Big Show's apology over the Russian flag incident was actually part of the storyline and was not meant to sate the Russian media, as it really didn't make major news in Russia, where commentators there actually put over Rusev and Lana as babyface heroes. And last month's merchandise best sellers in order were John Cena, by far, Roman Reigns, the Usos, the Wyatts, and Brock Lesnar.
That's not terribly surprising. The Usos on there is a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I've said before, the Usos, for their act being sort of basic and everything, and, up until the point where the Dust Brothers won the titles, they are sort of your nice, go-to, family-friendly, high-energy, kids love them, all that good stuff.
So Brock Lesnar, despite being gone for the foreseeable future, is a hoss when it comes to T-shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not surprising, because it's, last month was his last defense. So,
Well, the thing of it is, too, that's just the top 5. There was a top 10 listed, and if I remember, Daniel Bryan's on the list, Sting is on the list, I think Sting's even number 6, and Hogan's on the list at number 10.
Right, because Hogan just came back.
And Sheamus is on there, and I forget who the other one was. But,
I would love to see Rusev when they go on their European tour coming up. I would love to see the reaction Rusev gets. If you think about that for a second there.
No, he's really been on a roll, and I've said before, I see some of Lesnar and him in terms of, and they're actually handling him pretty decently at the moment, because they had their period of, dumb squash matches, and it didn't go on too long. And then now he's actually facing credible opponents, not necessarily in the best way. I'm not a big fan of these. He's got Big Show in the Accolade, and then Henry causes the DQ. But it could be a lot worse, granted.
All right.
What do you guys think? Real quick, let me just ask, because the Rumble is my favorite match. What do you guys think about a 40-man Rumble?
I'm down for it.
I would love it to be 40 men. That would be if it were to expand to that far. I think it would be a good match. Still, when Del Rio won it, it was still an amazing match. It still was paced well, just as long as it's booked as well as it has been in the past few years, except for this past year. It's been quite an amazing match.
I don't have a problem with it. I thought it wasn't last year they did that, was it?
Yeah, it was last year. This past Rumble was the shitty one.
Yeah, well, I don't think that had to do with the number of participants, though.
Well, I remember in 2011 was the other 40-man Rumble, and it was the one Del Rio won, and just. I think Kevin Nash was the only non-regular roster member that participated, and I don't remember it being a bad match, but it almost felt like those 10 extra people really didn't make a difference. I think maybe it's more of an idea of especially now with the network and the pay-per-view bonuses and however that's working. It's a matter of getting more people on the show, basically.
Alright, let's move on. Let's see here. WWE announced Monday night that they have chosen not to renew Justin Roberts' contract, and he was informed by Kevin Dunn of his departure following Raw. They also released indie wrestler Willie Mack from developmental before he started with NXT, possibly for failing a required test. The Ascension should be called up very soon, and actually they have toys coming out immediately. Los Matadores match on the WWC Anniversary Show will not air on iPay-per-view due to WWE's interjection. Rosa Mendez is dating Diego, aka Primo Colon, and it's rumored Michael P.S. Hayes got her a spot on Total Divas after he felt responsible for her alcohol relapse last year. Del Rio was double booked on the WWC show and the AAA show, but is appearing for the latter, as well as Great Muto's 30th anniversary Wrestle 1 show. So Alberto Del Rio is going to be on the Wrestle 1 show.
Not bad.
That's going to be fun. Also, fuck the Kevin Dunn.
Yeah, well...
Yes.
There were fan reports, apparently, that Roberts was yelling at Cole at one point during the Ziggler-Orton match and also flipped him off, so maybe, I don't know. It seems like, there are budgetary things going on. Maybe they couldn't come to terms on a deal. Roberts has been with them since 2002, so this is a pretty surprising release.
Yeah, I absolutely adore him.
It's the same kind of release that you'd expect. Remember Jillian when she got released the first time?
Yep.
You mean Lillian?
Lillian, that's what I meant. Yep.
instrument.
Jillian, I was like Jillian Hall. I was saying.
Every billionaire ate that big mole off her face. Yeah. No, I'm sad to see him go because he really was a really nice guy. Every time I went to an event, he would hang out after, whether it was Raw or SmackDown or just a house show, and he would just hang out after and talk to fans and take pictures, and he was always just incredibly just incredibly friendly.
I've seen other announcers do that as well, Lillian and such, but yeah, he really did seem like a guy who was quite passionate about it. He liked very much that story about the Ribera jacket in Japan and everything. So
I'm looking forward to seeing him actually go around the indie scene. I expect him to be on like a PWG show because he's been on.
Yeah. Speaking of PWG, we've got Willie Mack already released from developmental, and that's a shame, but I guess that's kind of how it goes. If you'll recall, Cesaro was hired and then released in a similar fashion because he couldn't, I forget what the exact thing was, he couldn't pass a certain test. And of course he came back and he is where he is today, so it's not a crushing thing quite yet, but it is a shame when those kinds of things happen. Alright then, we'll wrap up the news here. It seems that AJ Styles lost the IWGP Championship to Hiroshi Tanahashi, of all people, at the King of Pro Wrestling event, and he will therefore once again face Kazuchika Okada for the title at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th, which of course is being broadcast by Global Force Wrestling. Talk about Orton Cena again, huh? AMC canceled that planned Resistance Pro reality show due to scaling back their reality show division, but has given their blessing to shop it around elsewhere. Lucha Underground is planning an intergender division with the possibility of controversial angles based on recent sports headlines, which, we all know what that means. Probably not the best idea. The Soska twins are interested in doing a Wyatt family film, and should See No Evil 2 do well, maybe it could happen. And finally, LatinoReview.com reports that Batista is set to star as Hinks, the main henchman in the new James Bond film, which is starting production in December.
Okay, two things real quick. First, I hate that AMC is not going to have that reality series. That is a crime, I believe. But they want Batista to be a Bond villain along the same lines of Oddjob and Jaws. Now, just think of that for a second. Oddjob and Jaws.
Yeah, he did a pretty decent job as Drax. He seems like the bodyguardish type, henchman type. That's essentially what he was in Evolution.
He does pretty well at being, a henchman and looking kind of odd and looking very different. I would not be surprised if this went amazingly well. I'm really, really happy that he's becoming more successful than pretty much anybody else. Just me? Or is it cool that Batista, out of all people, is the one that is actually getting the movie star fame as opposed to Cena, Rock, or Kane, or Miz? Or
here's the thing. He was in one really successful movie. I'm not sure how old you are, but I remember when The Scorpion King came out, and let me tell you, The Rock was twice as big then as what Batista is right now. I'm not trying to belittle Batista or anything, but I mean, don't underestimate Rocky and what level of movie stardom he was at, like right when he got started, because he was just a phenomenon.
Well, now that Hercules has sort of gone bust, where does The Rock go from here? Or should we even be asking that question?
We shouldn't even be asking that question. The next movie that's coming out from him, I believe, is going to be Fast and Furious 7, which will be a huge fucking deal because of what's-his-face dying.
Oh, yeah. True.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's not... It is Rock's fault for taking some of the movies that he's decided to go on. But for the most part... aside from a couple bad ones, he's done pretty well for himself.
2 words.
If you say Tooth Fairy, look, here's the thing. Everybody makes mistakes. Chevy Chase...
Defending him because you're incorrect.
Chevy Chase did a fucking talk show that tanked, but was still is one of the greatest movie comedic actors of all time. One bad move doesn't undo a legacy. That's all I'm saying.
Alright, so that's it for the news. Let's start with our 15-minute time limit. There we go. I had to find it. Ads.
Well, we kind of mentioned briefly in the news that the network now has 30-second ads between, not during scheduled programming, but between shows, and also like every third or fourth time before on-demand content. And it's kind of similar to how YouTube, more and more YouTube videos these days, it seems like practically all of them have some kind of ad before the video, and most of them are skippable after about 5 seconds or so. But it is pretty annoying. So, obviously there's been a bit of a brouhaha, is a network that is struggling to get subscribers. Is it a good move to incorporate ads to help offset the cost? Is it a bad move because people might not subscribe or resubscribe as a result?
I don't think it's that bad. Honestly, I haven't seen it, but from the way you're describing it, it's already 1,000 times better than fucking Hulu, where I paid, I don't even remember how much for a monthly subscription, and still had all the regular commercial breaks, as well as commercials before and after each video. And
wait a minute. Isn't Hulu Plus mean you don't have commercials?
No. You still have commercials in Hulu Plus.
Hulu Plus is basically you access all of the content.
Right. All Hulu Plus does is give you access to all of the content, while Hulu regular is just maybe, you get some crumbs here and there. Either way, it's shit.
Pretty much anything. Yeah.
It's not worth it.
I mean, if the WWE Network wants to be the Hulu of the fucking world, I mean, that's fine. They can do that, but don't expect me to sit here and pay only $9.99 a month for a 6-month period, or $20 a month for a no commitment thing. You're literally going to charge double for something. I'm not going to pay $20 to watch commercials. Literally,
here's the thing.
Commercials on something that I don't want to fucking, I'm not going to watch all the time. I mean, if I was in the business and I wanted to watch tape, I would buy this because this would be a good deal. Because it would be a good deal for me because I'd have to watch tape. But right now, I mean, for me personally, I don't think that I don't know what it's going to take for the WWE Network to actually be a decent deal for me.
It's not that bad, though. It's not like Hulu where you get, every single commercial break is 3 minutes of fucking commercials. It's just, it's a 30-second commercial before every 3 on-demand videos. And what was it? Omega?
Between shows on the live feed.
Right. That is not bad. I can easily tolerate that. That's half of what I get watching YouTube videos with ad block plus turned off. I don't think this is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. As long as they keep it in tolerable levels and don't get crazy with it, I think it'll be okay. And it's probably a good
service. For a streaming service, that's pretty good. Yeah, you're right. But still, I'm at this point, I'm used to seeing the WWE Network without commercials. If I were to be watching it, I do watch it a bit, but I personally don't pay for one. At the same time, I'm sitting here saying that if I'm paying you a premium service, I should not have to see advertisements. Period. Netflix doesn't need to do this. Why should you?
Because Netflix
bleeding money, from what I understand.
I just don't know what to say on this one.
Well, here's my thing. I think it's a fair point for Gunner to say, we've become the network's been a thing for 8-9 months now, and we've become accustomed to not seeing ads. So maybe they should have debuted with ads. I don't know. Now, that being said, I think we all knew at some point this was a this was a launch. This was effectively a test, even. I think you'd be a little bit naive to think that they were never going to implement something like this. And frankly, I think it's only going to get worse from here. With more frequent ads, even a raised cost of the network itself. I would not be shocked at all.
I don't think that they would go and fuck it up. I don't think they would fuck it up that bad.
Well, I mean, we're talking down the line here.
Hey, you better knock on something quick, man. You better knock on something quick, because when that Royal Rumble turns around and they're looking at WrestleMania buys, and the WWE Network isn't over 1 million subscribers, I'm telling you right now, they're going to start charging for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to do...
Really?
They're going to do what they got to do. I mean, we all know how full and well how the network has underperformed. So... As a matter of fact, during this whole debate, too, on the boards, there was the question of, some of the music, from entrances and things, wasn't up there. And again, they're not going to pay X amount of dollars to get the rights to certain music that appeared on the original broadcast if it's not cost-effective. I mean, again, the network, the whole point of the network, which, by the way, is kind of a huge risk in the first place, is to make money. And if they're not making money, then they're going to do what they got to do to make said money.
And that's going to come at the cost of the people who have been paying for WWE,
More or less, yeah.
Well,
But I guess what I'm saying is, as it stands right now, I would agree with Yankum that it's really not that bad right now.
Right now.
Right
that's
now.
That's the big key word right there, right now, because we're expecting the worst.
Even so, I would still think, compared to what it was, which is what, $55-$60 for a pay-per-view every month, and you still have...
Exactly, it's still better than that.
And they don't have all the stuff, obviously, but they're... Now, I will say I think they need to add it more frequently, even if they just did, like, a weekly update, and then you look forward to that every week, and it would be like, okay, we added these 2 episodes of Raw, there's these 2 episodes of Nitro, we added this episode of Saturday morning,
Right.
Whatever. I think they should do that.
Not to interrupt here, but...
Oh, boy.
So, little to my knowledge, and I don't know if you guys knew this, but guess whose book came out today? Jericho's new book.
Oh, Jericho has a book? That's good.
Yep, is the best in the world. At what I have no idea.
I didn't realize it was. I've been hearing about it. I didn't realize it was actually.
Yeah, it's out today.
Well, I'll have to go pick that up then.
Also, WWE 2K15 news.
Oh God, here we go.
15 DLC and season pass details are revealed.
Season pass.
Season pass. Season pass will cost and unlocks WWE Diva page for use in the game. It also includes all 3 2K Showcase stories and the Accelerator perk. So basically what you're telling me is that you're getting 3 story modes, page, and whatchamacallit. Let's see here. 3 story modes, a WCW pack with Fit Finlay, Lord Steven Regal, Bam Bam Bigelow, Diamond Dallas Page, and Lex Luger. The NXT Arrival pack, which is JBL, Adam Rose, The Ascension, Emma as well. The new moves pack, more moves. And what else is there? What else is there? There's one more thing. No, and that's it. $24.99.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is I have to pay $59.99 for the game, and then I have to pay $24.99 or whatever on top of that for the season pass to get a bunch of junk that's probably already on the fucking disc. And I assume that's so you can have network play as well, right?
I have no idea. It doesn't say anything about network play.
You can buy the network for just $24.95.
No.
$24.99.
$24.99. No, I mean so that you can play over, like the PlayStation Network or Xbox Live.
Yeah.
So apparently what this is going to be, so it's going to be reliving old feuds. So we're looking at the One More match between Orton and Christian in 2011. We're looking at Hall of Pain, which is Mark Henry. And then the Path of the Warrior, which is Ultimate Warrior, and then...
The hell? Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, these are basically three stories, a WCW pack, an NXT pack, new moves pack, $25. There you go. So essentially, that's what you're getting for DLC. And Emma and Paige.
It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's a complete ripoff, and it's unacceptable to do that to your fans and the people who buy your products.
Without getting into a debate about DLC and all this and that, that does seem like a lot for what is it, just characters, right?
It's characters in 3 different versions of career mode.
Oh well,
right.
I'd have to look into the career mode thing.
Basically, it's 3 different new stories to play through, like the old SmackDowns used to have, where you'd play through a certain set of series of feuds that have already happened, but you get to play them. And you get one more match, Hall of Pain, and an Ultimate Warrior one.
Alright, well, while we still have a few minutes, if I may ask, we talked about Bound for Glory. It was on Sunday. Did anybody watch it?
I was not able to watch it, but I did, however, catch a bit of the New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view that went on.
How was that? Was that any good?
Yes, I'm going to make my recommendation for the week from that particular pay-per-view, and I will tell you what that is later.
I did
Dog
see...
has joined us for this particular podcast,
and his commentary has been very enlightening so far.
Sounds exactly like Yankum. And now he stops.
2 minutes, people.
Alright, well, I did see Bound for Glory, and it was a little surreal watching it in this small, brightly lit arena. That's not to say the show was bad, of course. I think it accomplished what a show like this could, which is, pretty good matches between the American and the Japanese talent. They did a pretty decent job. Today and Taz actually did live commentary over the tape, so and they did a decent job at it. I mean, as decent as they usually do. And was it worth whatever the price tag was? $55, probably not. But if you want to give TNA the benefit of the doubt, which we never like to do, I guess to wrap this up, I guess what I'm saying is it's a show worth checking out. Not for $55, obviously, but given their circumstances and everything, they accomplished something kind of neat. And the talent, the matches were good, and the wrestlers worked well together. And I think they pulled it off, basically. It wasn't an object disaster or anything. It was a pretty good show overall. I mean, if they had done this any other year, under any other set of circumstances, then it probably would have been very underwhelming, to put essentially your WrestleMania as this thing. But I think they pulled it off, so.
Okay, so that's it for the 15-minute time limit. I'm hungry. What about you guys?
No, I'm still mad about Season Pass.
I could go for a dilly bar, but let's have some ice cream first.
Isn't that what they... Never mind.
Give it to me cold, give it to me creamy, give it to me fluffy.
Alright, Yankum DDS, please, why don't you read us the ratings?
Alright, it'll be me and my dog reading the ratings. Impact scored a .85 cable rating. That's down from the .875 rating the show drew last week. While the rating's down, the number of viewers split up, which makes no sense. This week's show averaged 1.102 million viewers, up from the 1.97 viewers from the last week. SmackDown drew a 1.94 cable rating. That's down 4% from last week's 2.02. Friday night's 15th anniversary episode of WWE SmackDown took a slight drop in viewers, though the core audience stuck around. The show drew 2.67 million viewers and a .8 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, down 3% and steady with 2.75 million and a .8 demo rating last week. Monday night's episode of Raw saw a minor increase in the 18 to 49 demographic rating, while the viewership slipped just a little. The show drew 3.75 million viewers with 1.23 demo rating, which are down 1% and up 3% respectively from the 3.8 million and 1.2 demo rating. The show ranks third for the night among cable shows, behind the 49ers and Rams game on ESPN and Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. The show did hours of 3.83 million, 3.76 million, and 3.664 million viewers. The final household cable rating is not available right now.
And with the birthdays, Net Jester.
Birthdays, person, place, or thing. On the 15th of this week, we have Joey Abs and Takashi Morishima, I think.
Nope.
Morishima, got it.
There you go!
Phonetics, they help. 16th, we have Just Incredible and Kazuyuki Fujita. Is that correct?
Another one, holy shit!
Passable. Then we have Liz Mark Jr., Jimmy Olsen, and who knows, he went into a wrestling career after being fired from the Daily Planet, Takedo Omori, and The Renegade. Then on the 17th, we have... Never mind
that shit! Here comes Mongo!
Oh, come on. Trying to steal everything. Steve Mongo McMichael and famous British wrestler Harry Azzoli. Harry Azzoli, I could tell you about that Harry Azzoli. On the 18th, we have Nord. On the 19th, we have Saria Knight, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And we have famed Latino South American wrestler Felipe Porras. Then on the 20th, we have Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Scott Hall and Tiger Mask IV. Then to round out the week on the 21st, we have Bushwhacker Butch, Horace Hogan, and Sick Boy.
And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Omega BR.
Yes, this week in wrestling history, circa 1951, where Mae Young defeats Cora Combs to become the first NWA Florida Women's Champion in Tampa, Florida. Then, in 1963, Bobo Brazil defeats Tim Anderson in Tampa, reportedly the first professional wrestling match to take place in Tampa, involving black wrestlers. Jump to 1967, where Professor Toru Tanaka defeats WWF World Champion Bruno Sammartino in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, when the match is stopped due to Sammartino's excessive bleeding. However, Tanaka was not awarded the title since the champion was not pinned or forced to submit. And in 1998, Ken Shamrock defeats X-Pac in a tournament final for the WWF Intercontinental title at the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, Long Island. The belt had been vacated when current champion Triple H suffered a knee injury. It was also the debut of the Mr. Socko Mandible Claw, when Mankind used it on Mark Henry in an opening round match. And that was this weekend, wrestling history.
Happy trails this week. Happy trails to Maria Kanellis and Mike Bennett, who were finally wed this week. Congratulations to them. And, oh boy, here we go. Happy trails to Sunny, who claims the tap water in her apartment building caused her to get a colon infection, causing her most recent health scares.
That's possible, by the way. If there was some kind of, parasite, it's possible.
And of course, there would be a parasite living in Sunny. Of course. Because that's the kayfabe of this show. That's the kayfabe of this show. Alright, what to watch this week in wrestling, Mr. Net Jester.
In the outside world of the internet, it's been a pretty bloody week one way or another, so how about something from Bloodsport, ECW's most violent matches? Just taking a look down this card, I look at something that I remember seeing and going, I don't think this is going to be good with these two small guys, but actually was. The Mexican Death Match between Rey Mysterio Jr. and Psychosis from November 2nd, November to Remember, 11/18/1995.
And Yankum DDS.
Let me think. I mentioned Mick Foley earlier, so I feel like I have to name a Foley match now. Let's go with Foley versus, Chainsaw Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, even
From
the dog
when?
likes that one.
From when?
That's... You know what? Better idea. Because as good as those matches were, I can't think of a specific one. So let's go with Legend Killer Orton versus Foley in... it was
You're killing
yeah, it was the one where Orton's busted wide open and he forces attacks all over the match. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The one where Orton spits in his face and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that we all know. Okay, Omega BR.
Oh, I'm going to go with Bound for Glory, as I was saying. If you can catch that, if I had to pick one single match, I would probably go for the Exhibition Freeway. That was probably the best match. Samoa Joe, Low-Key, and Kaz Hayashi. Although, honorable, the main event, the Team 3 match, all that good stuff. But honorable mention will really go to Ryoto Hama versus Ethan Carter III, because Hama is quite a big boy, and it was kind of funny watching that play out. You'll know what I mean when you see him.
I will definitely have to check that out, as I missed the show entirely. I am going to suggest this week a little bit of New Japan Pro Wrestling from this most previous King of Pro Wrestling pay-per-view that occurred on October the 13th. It was Tomohiro Ishii versus Yujihiro Takahashi for the Never Openweight Championship. This was a fun match and definitely something of a little revenge Ishii has to give the perverted porn star over there, Yujihiro Takahashi. All right. I think that's it for this week. Are we good? Is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up?
Before we go, why don't we just double check with Yankum's dogs just to make sure they've had their say?
All right. So that's it for this week then. Thank you very much for listening. You can check us out on Spreaker, Spreaker.com/SmarkSnark, SmarkSnark.com as well will get you there. YouTube.com/SmarkSnark if you want to check out all of our previous podcasts. You can also check out Twitter.com/SmarkSnark where Yankovic and myself like to tweet a little bit and say things that are important that you should listen to and you should subscribe to. I mean, we both have, our individual Twitters, but you can find it through the SmarkSnark thing. Anyways, you can also find us on Facebook, Facebook.com/SmarkSnark, and if you have a professional wrestling promotion, or you are a professional wrestler yourself, and you like a little bit of exposure, you can come on the show. And to do that, all you gotta do is email smarksnark@gmail.com, or contact us pretty much any other way. Alright, so that's it. Thank you all for listening, and I wish you best in your past, present, and future endeavors.
And remember, Yankum's dogs will have their own new podcast next week. Check Twitter for dates and times.
Yeah, it's called Biting Net Jester, The Life and Times of a Dog and How I Got Rabies.
Have your pet spayed or neutered, everybody.
Good night, Ikarashi.